Hello everyone. Good afternoon. Hello everyone. Present, are you with us? Can you all hear me? Please, can you all hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, something seems to be wrong because I can see quite a number of your mics unmuted, but I'm not getting any response. Please, can someone confirm that they can hear me?
I can hear you.
Oh, all right. Thank you very much. Okay, so please, we are taking presentations now. We want to start off with class proper. So, group one, if you are ready, we are taking presentations. Group one presenter, if you're with us, please, we are taking presentations. Kindly share your slides. If you're going to be having issues sharing your slides, I can do that from my end. Please just go ahead and start your presentation. Please, who is our group presenter? One. please, you are supposed to be the presenter for one, please. Are you having any network issue or any network challenge?
Yes, I'm unable to share the slide.
All right, so please don't worry. Just go ahead and start. I'll try to share the slides from my end.
Okay.
All right, can you see my slides? Can you see my screen now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Hello, Williams.
Yes, sir.
Hello?
Can you-
Yes. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes, I can.
I was on the call before. It's trying to rain here. I think when the weather changed, the network locked me out. Okay. I have noticed that there are new people. Let the group one presenter settle in. I heard you asking who is supposed to be the group presenter. No, you should already know the person before the class. When they finish their work, let them send the work to you and send you the name of two people that will present. And the presenters have to be ready for the presentation. Okay, so why they set up, I think there will be need for those who joined, who were not in class yesterday, to quickly introduce themselves. Isa Isimayat, Islamiyat, Isa Islamiyat. Are you using two devices?
Yes, I'm having a network glitch here, so I had
Okay.
to use two in case one got disconnected.
Okay, so you are using two different networks.
Yes, sir.
Okay, no problem. So yesterday the class commenced officially, but for some reasons, uh, group one was not ready with their material, so we moved it to today, and they have submitted their material. So we had introductory session yesterday. Those of you who were not here yesterday, you have to introduce yourself. And the rule is simple. Turn on your video. Tell us your name, where you are joining us from. If you are a student, you mention your school, then why you are interested in doing medical law course. So I can see Bala Rano, Mishbahu. Bala, sorry, who is using HP? Who is using HP? Put your name, please. Hello? Someone's device is reading HP. If you're logging in from your laptop, kindly change that HP to your name. We want to know
Okay,
our student.
so I'm on it now. I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so Bala Rano, can you introduce yourself?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me
Okay,
now?
please turn on your video. Tell us your name, where you are joining us from, and why you are interested in this course.
Okay, sir.
You may proceed.
Can you guys all see me?
You go ahead. We can see you.
Okay, sir. My name is Balaradin Isbahu. I am a 300 level medical student of Federal University of Sciences. Sir,
Yes, your son name.
my surname is Balaradin, sir.
Okay, good. You say 200 level where?
300 level medical student, sir, of Federal University of
Medical
Sciences.
student. Which school?
Yes, sir. Federal University of Health Sciences.
Okay, that's very good. So why are you interested in taking this course?
I think I'm interested in this course because I want to know the laws governing the medical practices.
Okay. Okay, that's good. Can we have the next person? You are welcome.
Thank you,
Who
sir.
else was not here yesterday? Somebody is having, is that supposed to be a link or what? Whoever you are, NREOWLFK with the figures 37035. Kindly change your device to your name, please. Having that link,
That's already.
introduce yourself. Yes.
Okay, good evening. My name is Victor Odisa.
So,
I'm a recent law graduate from University of Nigeria and Soka. I just came out from law school.
sorry, I didn't get that.
And sorry,
You said you are what graduate? Which institution?
law graduate, University of Nigeria and Soka. I just finished from
Law. Awesome. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So, why are you interested in taking this course?
Okay, so my interest in health law started during my final year because I did my project was I did it in 2020 when COVID-19 started. So my project was on the implications of mandatory COVID-19 vaccination
Hello,
policies in
Victor.
Nigeria.
Can you hear?
Yes?
Okay, can you hear? I said, why are you?
This man, I don't even know why are you asking so much stupid questions? If you are teaching, teach.
Hello? Hello? Is my
Interested
network?
in taking medical? Since you hear me.
Okay, I'm interested because I would like to know the relationship between the law and health statistics and medical jurisprudence. I'm very interested in understanding the dynamics of how law interplays with medicine and ethics and medical technology and its nuances. I don't know if anybody can hear me. It's bad. Can you hear
Have
me?
you gone to law school?
Yes, I just last week.
Okay, you are the last, the set that just finished from law school.
Yes.
Awesome. Congratulations in advance. We are glad to have you on this call. We had a training for students of Nigerian law school. Did you take part of that training? We had a medical law training. Okay. Okay. Awesome. Who else is here? Okay. Omozusi Eguare. Omozusi. Hope I pronounced the name correctly. Omozusi.
Yes, good afternoon, sir.
Okay.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
My
Introduce
name is
yourself.
Omozusi Egware.
Okay. Omozusi.
Yes, sir.
What does it mean?
Omozusi. It means a child greater than fame and wealth.
Okay. Okay. So, proceed.
Okay. I am a 400 level medical student from Gregory University, Uturu, Abia State.
Okay. Awesome. Why are you interested in medical law?
So I'm interested in this program because I intend to pursue a career in health policy, and I believe that this would be the best way for me to get started on it.
Okay, awesome. You're welcome.
Thank you, sir.
Next, who else is left out? Lajumake, Fina, Emmanuel, Praise. I think you introduced yourself yesterday. Tari, Fina, they were all here yesterday. Okay, let's make progress. Group 1, are you ready for your presentation now?
Yes.
Okay, you have 20 minutes. You can use less than 20 minutes. Why I said you have 20 minutes or 15 minutes rather, 15, not 20. We have already used 17 minutes. In the past time, the time was too short and people rush. They just read through. So educators, I've gone through your material and I want to say that you people did an excellent job. The research, you people tried, but there are corrections to be made. And when we get to the junction, to those junctions, we make the corrections. So during your appraisal, I'll make the necessary corrections, but your content is good, even though there are a lot of corrections to be made. So proceed.
Okay, sir. Good evening, everyone. Okay, sorry.
Good evening.
My name is Isaula Bukala Islamiat, presenter for Group 1 on the topic Health Technology Law, Medical Ethics, Regulation, and Compliance in the Nigerian Public Health Sectors. Yeah, Health technology laws are the technologies which improves the health and health sectors, and in accordance with the standard organizations of Nigeria, it defines health technology as the application of knowledge and skills in form of devices, medicines, and vaccines to improve quality life and health. So also moving down to the health technology laws, it says the branch of laws that regulates the development, deployment, and use of medical technology, ensuring safety, efficacy, and ethical compliance. So, in a nutshell, health technology law are those rules or principles which governs the health tech, and it aims to ensure safety and protect the patients and ensure safety healthcare services. Next slide, please. The importance in Nigerian public health sector, like I said earlier, that the aims of the health technology law is to protect the patients and also to improve safety and quality health services. So the importance of this health technology law in Nigerian public health sector is to ensure the safety and efficacy medical services and drugs administrations and controls. Also, it regulates telemedicine and electronic health record, protects patients' rights and data privacy. So this has already been said and explained in the aims of the health technology law, that health technology strives to protect the patient. And while protecting the patient is also going to protect the rights and the data and also possible information to maintain the privacy of such patients. And also it will regulate the telemedicine and electronic health record, because the telemedicine also make use of the technology in delivering the services. Next slide, please. So now, medical ethics, regulation, and compliance. So under this introduction, we'll be talking about the ethical principles that is guiding the health care practice and in Nigeria as a case study, and also the laws ensuring accountability in medical practice and compliance requirements for health institution and professionalism. Next slide, please. Health technology law in Nigeria as a whole. So generally, there's no substantive regulations or rules regulating the health, but there are some traditional health laws or guidance which can also be regulate the health technology laws in Nigeria. So number one itself, it's the National Health Act 2014. It governs the healthcare delivery and technology uses. This is the primary healthcare regulation or healthcare legislations, which actually governs the healthcare services in Nigeria, and can also channel its way through the health technology law by providing for the principle of confidentiality and principle of informed consent, which are also in line with the health technology laws, because the information's communication technology has to be protected through the principles of confidentiality and informed consent. Second is the Nigerian Data Protection Regulations, which regulate the patient's data privacy. Like I said earlier, that the patient's data privacy needs to be protected and to prevent fraud and abuse of the health technology. So there's the Nigerian Data Protection Regulations Act in 2023 strive to protect the patient's privacy and the information the patient. Also, the NAFDAC Act, it ensures the safety and efficacy of drug, vaccines, medical equipment. Like, I all know that the work of the NAFDAC is to control the administration of drugs and the usage of drugs. So they can also be used, or they can also go in line with the health technology laws in Nigeria, because it also deals with the delivering of health services. Medical and Dental Practitioner Act. So this act governs the medical practice standards and also provide for regulation and licensing when it comes to the health sectors, and it's going to be discussed broadly later. The Cybercrime Act 2015, it addresses cyber security concern in the digital health. Like, we all know that the health technology laws deals with information communication technology, and as such, there might be perpetration of some acts, and that's why this act is also significant in the legal framework of health technology. Next slide, please. The laws on digital health and telemedicine. Like, we all know that the digital health and telemedicines made use of the technology or information communication technology to provide or to make healthcare services accessible to patients through the use of technology and information communication technology. So the regulations ensuring ethical telemedicine practice, challenges of accessibility, security, and licensing. Next slide, please. Protection of patients' data and privacy law. The Nigerian Data Protection Regulations mandate that healthcare institutions safeguard patients' records. Like I said earlier, that the patient's record and information about the patient have to be protected under the health technology law, and the National Data Protection Regulations, which was enacted into an act in 2023, it sets to the information and the privacy of the patients. And also, secondly, the risks of data breaches and identity theft in electronic health record. Also, this Nigeria data can also use to protect the data breaches and identity theft in electronic health record when it comes to the protection of data and privacy of patients. Next slide, please. Medical ethics principle and its applications. Medical ethics are set of disciplines or principles which are set down, or the regulation set down for a medical practitioner or a physician in order to protect the rights of the principles. They are set as a rule of conduct or principles which a physician or a medical professional needs to adhere with when dealing with patients and some other health-related people. So number one is the core ethics principles, which are enshrined in the Code of Medical Health as published by the Medical and Dental Practitioner Act. It's actually states 4 core ethic principle, which is number one, the autonomy, it refers to the patient, it refers that the patient have the right to make informed medical decision. It is a voluntary and uninfluenced right of the patient to make a decision regarding its health after being informed of the possible available measures. So the patient have the right to choose which of the alternative measures to go with voluntarily, and also the core principle of benefit. The healthcare provider must act in the patient's best interest. And as is stated in this principle, the physician or the medical practitioner needs to act in goodwill or in good faith for the patient. And this also goes in line with the principle of goodwill or act in good faith. The next is non-maleficence, which is a principle of avoiding harms to the patient. It also refrains the physician or a medical practitioner from doing an act which is going to occur an harm or to create a detrimental state.
So, can you pronounce that principle again? The third one. Hello? The third one.
Non-maleficence.
Non-malfeasance. Malfeasance.
Malfeasance. Okay, non-malfeasance.
Okay, proceed.
Yes, sir. The third principle is the principle of non-malfeasance. It actually provides for it refrains the physician or medical practitioner from indulging in an act which is going to be of detrimental state to the patient. So this principle actually refrains the medical practitioner from doing an harm. And if you're actually doing refrain from doing an harm, then definitely you have to do good, which is also in line with the principle of beneficence. And also the fourth principle, which is the principle of justice. The principle of justice ensures fairness in healthcare delivery. It's just a principle of fairness, equitability, and also equality, whereby the physician or the practitioner is encouraged to act in fair and equal, to render fair and equal accessibility to healthcare to all patients. Next slide, please. Ethical challenges in Nigeria healthcare system, limited resources leading to ethical dilemma. Like we know that the state of Nigeria healthcare now, we lack resources allocations when it comes to the governmental level. There's limited resources allocation, which actually conflict with the interest of the medical practitioner themselves in delivering or in complying with these ethical principles. Conflict of interest in public-private partnership, and balancing cost with quality care. Because of the cost of cost of because of the cost of the service or of the medical service, then it actually conflicts with the interest of the medical practitioner to balance his ethics by providing just medical service to the patient because of the cost. So there's this imbalance in cost with quality in providing quality health service. Next slide, please. Medical ethics, case study in Nigeria, case study 1, ethical consent in organ transplants. So there is lack of clear regulation on organ donation and organ transplant in Nigeria, and also ethical concerns over consent and illegal organ trade. So there is no clear regulations on the ethical concern on how organ transplants can be done, and also the illegality of organ trade in Nigeria when it comes to the ethical concerns.
Where did you get that from? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Have you read the National Health Act?
Not everything, sir.
Okay, proceed. Continue.
Case study 2, the impact of financial constraints on ethical decision making. Patients denied treatment due to inability to pay. So this is synonymous to what I explained earlier regarding the balancing the costs of the medical fee, and also the ethical dilemmas in resource allocation. This also goes in line with the resources allocated to the healthcare sectors. Next slide, please. Regulation in the public health sector. So the key regulatory body, we have the National Health Research Ethics Committee, which regulates the medical research ethics, Medical and Dental Council of Nigeria, which oversees and regulates the licensing and professional conduct of doctors. And in line with this, it establishes the Code of Medical Ethics. The National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, it ensures drug and medical device safety, and also control the usage and administration of drugs. Nigerian Communication Commission, it regulates telemedicine practice. And as we all know that the telemedicine practice has to do with the information communication technology and the uses of technology in healthcare sector. So, and that is why this regulation is also important. Next slide, please. Importance of the regulation: it prevents medical malpractice, it ensures ethical compliance in health sector, it protects public health through strict oversight. Next slide. Compliances in health technology and public health. So compliances, which means the adherence to the rules and regulations in lines, rules and regulation provided in the health sectors, most especially the public health sectors. So the key compliances requirements, it requires that hospital must be licensed and accredited. It also requires that clinical trials require ethical approval. Patients' data must be protected under the Nigerian Data Protection Regulations, and compliance with the International Health Standard, World Health Organization's guidelines. Next slide, please. Consequences of non-compliance with the regulations. Number one, the legal penalty and fines. So lack of compliance will also result to the revocation of medical license and also damage of institutional reputations. Next slide. Challenges in health technology law and compliance. Limited enforcement of regulation, and also weak implementation of the existing law and corruption hindering regulation effectiveness. Another challenge is the inadequate awareness and training. Healthcare professional lacks knowledge of regulatory requirements. Next slide. Ethical dilemmas in healthcare practice. Balancing profit with patient care, struggles in providing equitable healthcare service. And also part of the challenges faced in this compliance is the data privacy concern. The growing risk in cyber attacks on healthcare databases, need for strong cybersecurity measures, because as we all know that the medical health technology deals with the information communication technology and the uses of technology, then there is need for stronger cybersecurity measures in order to protect the patients and also to ensure quality and safety healthcare delivery. Next slide. Case study on regulation and compliance in Nigeria. Legal action against standard drug manufacturer. The NAFDAC effort in combating fake drug. Legal repercussions for companies violating drug safety law. Case study 2, regulatory challenges in implementing telemedicine, lack of clear law on telehealth licensing. Next slide. Future of health technology law in Nigeria. Potential legal reform, strengthening data data privacy law in healthcare, developing clear telemedicine regulation, enhancing patients' rights and legal protection. So for the improvement of the health technology law in Nigeria, then there should be the these following reforms in order to enhance or facilitate quality and safety health sector and to protect the patients. So there is need for strengthening the data privacy law in Nigeria and also developing a clear telemedicine regulation or a separate code that all regulations that is going to guide the health technology law in separately and also to enhance patients' rights and legal protections. Next slide. Recommendation. Training healthcare professionals on ethical and legal standards, strengthening interagency collaboration for better enforcement, adoption of AI-driven compliances monitoring tools, public awareness campaign on patients' rights and responsiveness. So this also goes in line with what the future of health tech law in Nigeria, and these are the recommendations on how to achieve the future the future I said earlier in terms of the health technology law. So next slide, please. Sorry. So in conclusion, health technology law enhance safe and ethical medical practice. And also medical ethics guides the patient concerned decision making. Regulation and compliance protects patients and uphold medical standards. And also it also helps in facilitating or enhancing quality and safe accessibility to healthcare, especially health technology law. And also health technology law ensures safe and equal accessibility to medical health. Next slide. Call to action. Strengthening healthcare policy for better patients protection, promotes ethical medical practice in Nigeria healthcare, ensure strict enforcement of healthcare regulations. So these are the actions which are to be taken in order to attain the future in health technology law. So, and also the our recommendations in order to promote in order to promote safe and quality accessibility to healthcare, and also the protection of data and information, protection and data and information for the patients. Thank you, sir. Can I please off my
All right, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Islamiats, for that presentation. Well done to you and your team members.
Hello.
Hello, sir. Yes, sir, we can hear you, sir.
Okay, I think network locked me out again. Okay, kudos to group one. You people tried. However, there is a mistake that I observed. Group one made that mistake, group two made that mistake, and that affected the quality of your contents. And what is that mistake? You concentrated your efforts on talking about health law. That is not your topic. The training, the course, the entire course content is medical, health, law, and tech, or medical, health, and tech law. That is the course. Now, today's topic is on medical ethics, regulation, and compliance. That is today's topic. So you people, you concentrated your efforts on talking about tech law, tech law, tech law, tech law, health tech law, health tech law. And a lot of the things you said here were not related to today's topic. We have a topic in the program called e-health. That is where some of the things you talked about will come in. However, having said that, I just want to point out some other corrections. Number one, look at your slide 10, where you said there is lack of regulation on organ transplantation or organ donation, lack of clear regulation. That is not totally true. If you look at section 48 of the National Health Act up to 57, talks about organ donation. From 48 to 57 talks about organ donation and everything that relates to that. So there is that provision. Then on part of your legal framework, that should be slide 5, you mentioned the Nigerian Data Protection Regulation. We now have, that's not a legal framework. We had data protection regulation, but what we have in place now is Nigerian Data Protection Act. A regulation is not enforceable. A regulation does not have the force of law. So what we have now is Nigerian Data Protection Act 2023, and it is one of the legal frameworks when you talk about data protection, issues around patients' confidentiality of patients' data and all that. Then you talk about NCC as one of the regulatory bodies. No, NCC is not. I'm looking for that particular the particular slide where you mentioned NCC as one of the regulatory bodies. No, it is not in any way. NCC, even when you stretch telemedicine, what NCC does, NCC basically provides, regulates telecommunication and its usage. It has no direct regulation on medicine or medical practice. So get that correction. Okay, that's slide 12. That's slide 12. Then what other? Those are the few, but you expended much of your energy talking about health, health tech, and that's where you missed a lot of the depth of your research. Assuming that effort was poured on looking at regulation and medical ethics, regulation, and compliance, we would have had richer presentation. On the whole, you did well, but by the time we are done with my presentation, you will now understand. Okay, can we have group 2 make their presentation? Then you talked again, sorry, you talk about a lack of absence of regulation around telemedicine. That is also not correct. If you look at, that should be section 22, section 20 of the Code of Medical Ethics 2008. I will read it in the course of my presentation. You will see the clear guidelines it gave on telemedicine. It's just a section in the Code of Medical Ethics. Now, that does not detract from the fact that telemedicine has developed and requires full and independent regulation or a subsidiary regulation or a policy document around the practice of telemedicine. But there is no total absence, because that section talks about being careful and ensuring that patients' data is not intercepted in the course. So issues around data protection and patients' confidentiality was being talked about as far back as 2008 regarding telemedicine. Okay, so next group. Can we have group 2? While you can, as a participant, you can put your questions together. Or let's take it this way. Does anybody have question on the presentation by group 1? Any question? Any question on the presentation by group 1? Sorry, please, can you all hear me?
Yes, sir, we can hear you. We can hear you, sir.
Okay,
Yes, sir,
so
can hear you, sir.
Can we have questions? If there are no questions, let group 2 make their presentation.
All right, please, Olajumoke, if you may, please, you can kindly start the presentation. I will share the slides on my end.
Okay, thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me very well?
Yes, we can.
Yeah.
Okay. So group 2, okay. The topic given to us was health technology law, medical ethics, regulation, and compliance within the private sector.
No, you missed it. The program, the course you're doing is health technology law. It's medical health technology law. That is not the
Okay.
topic. That's the course. The topic
Okay.
is medical ethics. Topic 1
Nice.
is medical ethics, regulation, and compliance. Because you
Okay.
people also made that mistake. But proceed.
All right. Okay. The next slide, introduction. We talked about the definition of health technology law. So should I start from there or should I just go to the regulations, ethics, and compliance?
So present your whole paper. I will point out the mistakes. Then your
Okay.
primary mistake here is that your work was sent in as PDF.
Okay.
It is supposed to be a PowerPoint presentation, not PDF. So take that correction.
Okay.
Proceed.
So, all right. So what is health technology law? Basically, it's talking about there are sets of legal rules and guidelines that governs the use of technology to the health sector. And we point out some health technologies such as telemedicine, electronic health records, medical device, and artificial intelligence for the healthcare. Now, this represents the health technology, some of the health technologies in Nigeria. What's the essence of this health technology? Basically, is to improve the care for patients, reduce the cost of healthcare, though the use of technology is costly, but still, and increase the efficiency of delivery medical services. So the next slide, we pointed out some of the health technology laws in Nigeria, and we highlighted 3 that we're going to be talking about. That's the telemedicine and remote healthcare service, electronic health record, and medical devices. Now, talking about telemedicine and remote healthcare service. Basically, telemedicine telemedicine is the use of technology to deliver healthcare remotely. Now, is an emerging healthcare options that allow patients to consult doctor remotely by using communication tools like video calls, text messages, telephone calls, and many others. In 2019, during the COVID-19 period, there was an ever-increasing rate of the use of telemedicine in Nigeria. Telemedicine, though, pointed out here that it's largely unregulated. But according to my further research, though there's no specific law regulating telemedicine in Nigeria, but when we take a look at the privacy and data protection law, like the NDPR, that's the Nigeria Health Protection Act. This law regulates data privacy, security, and health confidentiality, such as feeds like telemedicine. It regulates how patients' data is collected, stored, and shared. So the telemedicine ensures the communications are well protected under that law. And according to what Mr. Ebenezer said, he also pointed out the fact that Section 22 of the 22 of the Code of Medical Ethics 2008 also, to some extent, you can say it regulates telemedicine. So moving forward, let's look at the case study here. Some private healthcare providers in Nigeria in the course of the pandemic also began to provide remote consultation service. However, there are still questions surrounding the continuity of telemedicine consultations and lack of regulation. For instance, some of the private hospitals offering telemedicine service lack proper medical records or obtain proper informed consent, raising question about legal efficacy of prescriptions that had been issued by such means. And one of the sections in the National Health Act, specifically section 25, 27, 28, 29, talks about keeping patients' records. So there have been issues surrounding that area in the use of telemedicine. Moving forward to the next slide, we're going to talk about electronic health records, EHR. Now, electronic health record adoption of the system is very, very critical for managing patients' data in today's healthcare setting. In Nigeria, the National Health Act 2014 support the use of electronic health record. And if we take a look at, as I said earlier, Section 25, which talks about the obligation to keep records by healthcare establishments. Section 27 talks about the access to health record. Section 29 talks about the protection of these health records, specifically when it's checked through Section 29 subsection 2I, which make mention of the use of computer and electronic system. So yes, so to that extent, we can say the National Health Act of 2014 actually supports the use of electronic health record in the provision of better health care delivery. Though private healthcare providers are adopting the HER system, they are primarily constrained by data security, privacy, and lack of adequate comprehensive regulation framework. Now, when we talk about regulation, the Nigerian Data Protection Regulation, NDPR, which was passed in 2019, has provisions on data security and privacy, including the health data. It mandates healthcare providers to ensure that the confidentiality and safety of patient information and impose penalties for non-compliance. Take, for instance, a clinic that implements an HER system must ensure that patient information is encrypted and access is limited to only authorized personnel, because failure to do this is a breach of a patient's privacy, which happened in 2020 when a Nigerian healthcare provider was fined for failing to protect patient information in his electronic system. Moving forward to the next slide, we're going to talk about the medical devices.
Hello, which institution was fined? Which agency was fined?
All right, so concerning the...
You said an agency was fined for failure to protect patients' data, right?
No, I said there was a case study in 2020 when the Nigerian provider, a Nigerian health was fined for failing to protect patients' information in its electronic system.
So what is the name of that healthcare provider? That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. So my colleague that ought to present this made this presentation, and I did my further research, but I couldn't identify that particular person.
Now, what you cannot substantiate? you do not bring to the public knowledge. It is
Okay.
good to say that a healthcare provider was fined, but it will be better to mention the name, because you are making a presentation so that
Okay.
people do not dive into conjectures. So if you are saying this happened, you mention the name. If it's a case that went to court, you mention the name, you mention possibly the citation of the case, so that people can research and get the facts. So proceed.
Okay. So moving forward, okay. Now I was going to talk about the medical devices. Medical equipment such as diagnostic equipment, surgical equipment, and implants have specific regulations in Nigeria. If you take a look at NAFDAC, that's the National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control. One of the responsibilities of NAFDAC is to guarantee the safety, the performance, yes, the safety, the performance, and conformity of regulations for all medical equipment. Specifically, Section 5 of NAFDAC, one of its functions is to regulate and control the importation, exportation, manufacture, and use of medical device. So yes, NAFDAC ensures the registration of medical device, check their safety, and enforce rules that ban the circulation of substandard or fake medical devices. Private institutions such have to adhere to such rules to escape legal consequence and ensure patient safety. So there's a case study here in 2018. I'm going to skip it because I was not able to do a further research on it. Okay.
Beautiful.
He said I should not bring to public knowledge, but I'm not very sure about. Okay. In 2018, over 200 counterfeit medical devices were impounded by NAFDAC from a Lagos private hospital that had been using unregistered medical devices. Now, the hospital was legally punished with fines and suspension of operations, showing the absolute need to comply with medical device regulation. The name of the hospital, I really don't know the name, but let's move forward. Now, we're going to talk about the medical ethics in health technology. We want to talk about medical ethics. Medical ethics. These are basically the values, principles that guide the healthcare professionals. It's just a collection of principles, moral standards that governs the conduct of health professionals in the provision of healthcare. The ethical standards are crucial in the use of health technology, especially in private sector. Now, we're going to look at few medical ethics in health technology. We're going to take a look at the confidentiality and patient privacy, informed consent, patient autonomy, and rights. Now, talking about confidentiality and patient privacy. With the advance of health technologies of the informed age, patient confidentiality has also become harder to uphold. Private providers of health services must adhere to ethical practice to the extent that patient data is not released without permission. And Section 26 of the National Health Act talk about confidentiality. Take, for example, a private hospital uses telemedicine and is asked to ensure that consultations are secured and the patient's information, such as medical history and personal data, is protected against unprivileged entities' access. Moving forward to informed consent in the next slide. Informed consent is a central ethical requirement in the medical profession. Yes, informed consent. Yes. Patients ought to be appropriately informed about treatments they will undergo, including new technology applications. Let's take a look at a case study. A robotic surgery offered by a private hospital must ensure that the patients are informed of the risks benefits and limitations of the robotic intervention before they provide consent. And Section 23, I think Section 23 of the National Health Act also talks about informed consent, how that patient needs to be informed of the risks and every other option available for them before they are treated. Now, moving forward to patients' autonomy and rights. Patients are entitled to make their own decision regarding treatment, and that includes knowing which part health technology will play in the treatment. Doctors practice Doctors practicing in the private sectors have an obligation to make sure patients are not coerced into taking specific technologies, and patients' rights must be respected. For example, when patients refuse to undergo an MRI scan due to claustrophobic concern, such a refusal should be respected and other alternative of diagnosis considered. No, patients should not just be forced. Their consent should their decision must be respected. Moving forward to the next slide, we are going to talk about the regulations and compliance in the private health sector. Now, regulatory compliance in the private health sector ensures that the private healthcare providers comply with the legal conditions defined by the government and regulatory bodies. Okay. And regulatory bodies. Compliance with health regulation helps to maintain the public confidence and it assures patient safety and avoid legal consequences. Now we're going to take a look at some of the regulations that are available in this respect. The first one is the National Health Act 2014. The National Health Act is a legislative instrument that contains the law for the governance of healthcare service, including the private sector, yes, both the public and the private sector. The Act formulates standards in terms of healthcare facilities, patient care, and the management of health information. Private healthcare providers must comply with the regulations of this Act because the Act is binding to both private and the government hospitals. Moving forward to the Nigerian Medical Association, NMA, in the next slide, and other professional bodies. Now, the NMA, sir? Okay. The NMA, Medical and Data Council of Nigeria, MDCN, and the rest of professional bodies set professional and ethical standards for healthcare professionals. Now, these professional bodies ensure that the medical doctors and healthcare institutions in the private sector live up to the ethical requirements and regulatory demands. If you take a look at the health insurance and regulation, the Nigerian private healthcare providers are required to abide by health insurance regulations. For example, the National Health Insurance Authority, NHIA, which provides protection for certain healthcare services. Transparent, ethical billings procedure must be implemented in addition to adhering to insurance and healthcare regulations. Yeah. In conclusion, the final slide, the intersection of health technology, medical ethics, regulation, and compliance is critical for efficient private healthcare system in Nigeria. With these advanced technologies, healthcare professionals must keep abreast of legal matters, ethical practice, and technological advancements while delivering patient safety, privacy, and access to good care. Furthermore, compliances with regulations and compliance with national and global guidelines must be adhered to in order to avoid legal and ethical misconduct in the application of health technology. Thank you for listening. The end.
Another effort made there, unfortunately, it was expended exploring the wrong thing. You expended efforts on health tech. When we do e-health, you will understand what I'm saying. That should be either week 4 or week 3 or week 5 topic. but we have a topic on e-health. That is where most of what you was talking about technology, that is where it comes in. Most of the corrections will be repetitive, and there will be no need for that. However, note that NMA, Nigerian Medical Association, is not a regulatory body. Medical and Dental Council of Nigeria, MDCN, is a regulatory body. NMA is a professional association. It is an association of medical and dental surgeons, medical and dental practitioners. So what NMA can do to an extent is ensure that rules are obeyed by their members, rules set by which body? By firstly, the Medical Practitioners Act, which establishes the practice of medicine in Nigeria. Two, rules set by the Medical and Dental Council of Nigeria, which is the body that regulates the practice of medicine. So NME does not regulate. It is a professional association. They might put task force in place to ensure that what the regulatory body, Medical and Dental Council, has stipulated is complied with. So NMA can provide or serve as a compliance officer, supervisory, but not regulatory. Get the distinction. Okay. So, any question on their presentation? Any question? I am not getting your responses. We are now 14 here. I think someone. Chukwu Dumebi. Hello, Chukwu Dumebi. Kindly turn on your video and introduce yourself. Tell us where you are joining us from. Okay, Chidera, you will also do that. So we have two people here. Chukwu Dumebi and Chidera. Turn on your video, introduce yourself, tell us where you are joining us from, why you are interested in medical and health law. Quickly, before we go into my presentation. So Dennis, key my presentation.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Good evening, everybody.
No, Dennis, just take it down. Let her introduce, let them introduce themselves. Once they are done, you can key the presentation.
Okay, good. Sorry, I cannot really turn on my video now. Where I am is not the best. So I hope I'm permitted to.
In our subsequent class, you do that. So may we be you?
Okay, good evening, everybody. My name is Chukwudumebi Ononye. I'm joining from Enugu. I'm a student of the University of Nigeria. I just discovered medical and health tech law recently, and I just want to explore the area if it is a possible area of practice for me, and that's my reason
What
for
are you
joining
studying?
this. I'm a law student, sir.
What level?
500 level.
Okay, do you do medical law in your school?
No, we do not, sir.
Awesome. You are welcome, and we hope that
Thank you, sir.
we will contribute to your actualization of your desire to be a medical law practitioner.
Thank you very much, sir.
Okay, so the next person, Chidera, who spoke now, Chukwudu may be right.
Yes, sir. It's Chukwudumebi.
Okay, so Chidera, can we have you introduce yourself quickly before we proceed? Hello. Hello, Chidera.
Yes, sir, I can hear. Can you hear me, sir?
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. My name is Anwar Chidera Daphne, and I'm a student
Okay.
of Berkeley
We cannot
University.
see you.
Yeah, I'm not in a comfortable place to show my background, sir.
Okay. Okay. You will do that in our
Yes,
subsequent
sir.
classes. Yes, proceed. Your name. Kindly speak up where you are joining us from and why you are here.
I'm calling from joining from Imo State. I'm currently in Imo State.
Joining from. Uh-oh. Your line is breaking.
I'm currently at
Okay, see
Imo
what you're going to do, Chidera. Type your introduction on the chat box so that we can make progress. Your line is breaking. I can barely hear you.
Okay, sir.
Awesome. But when you said, okay, sir, your voice became clear. What's the problem?
Sir, I don't know. Probably it's the network.
Okay, we can hear you now. Proceed.
Okay, I said I'm joining from Imo State.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Are you a student? What course are you
Yes.
studying?
Yes, sir. I'm a student. I'm studying medicine and surgery. Student of Gregory
Awesome.
University, sir.
Student of
Gregory University,
Gregory University. Is it in Abia State or Imo State?
Abia State.
And you said you are joining from Imo. Okay, maybe you are at home. Proceed. What level?
Sir, I'm my fourth year, 100 level.
Okay, awesome. You are welcome. So why are you here?
Okay, I just learned about the Medical Health Law and Tech Association, so I'm here to gain insight on what it's all about, sir.
What it is.
Yes,
That's
sir.
a good one. You are
Thank you.
welcome. You're
Thank you,
welcome.
sir.
Okay, I am taking my time to ask everybody where they are joining from, why they are here, so that the presentation will capture different persons here, different disciplines represented here. Yes, I am a lawyer, I'm not a doctor. So in the course of my presentation, I'll be mindful of the fact that there are medical students here, and I wouldn't just be talking as if I'm talking to lawyers. I should be able to draw that balance. Okay, so kindly key in my presentation, Dennis. This is our first lecture. It is a 6-week, 5-week program, and today we are dealing with medical ethics, regulation, compliance. What is medical ethics? What is regulation? What is compliance? Now, in the course of the teaching, I'm happy we have a good number of medical students that will be able to relate more than the law students, and we'll get to a point where the law students will be able to relate more than the medical students, and we'll find a way to balance it. We also have practicing lawyers here, so at a point they will relate more than both the medical and law students. So my introduction, just go to the introduction. Medical ethics, regulation, and compliance are critical areas within the healthcare sector. They are designed to ensure that medical professionals act in a manner that prioritizes patient welfare, respect legal boundaries, and adhere to established standards. Under this topic, we will examine what medical ethics are, the regulatory bodies that govern medical practice, as well as challenges of compliance with medical ethics. Next slide. What is medical ethics, or what is ethics/medical ethics? So we start from what ethics are, or what ethics is, then we talk about medical ethics. Ethics refer to a set of moral standards and a code for behavior that govern an individual's interaction with other individuals and within society. Now, you might have seen people who behave differently from others. You might have seen somebody and you say this person is strict. You might have seen another person and you say this person is disciplined. So that code of behavior, particularly in relation to moral standards, as it relates to moral standards, that is what we call ethics. Ability to differentiate between right and wrong and make your choice, tilting towards the right most of the times, because you cannot totally divorce morality from ethics. Ethics also refers to the various codes of conduct that have been established through the years by members of the medical profession. So for us lawyers, we have our own legal ethics. Different professions or professionals, accountants, they have their own accounting ethics. So medical ethics refers to the moral principles and standards that guide healthcare professionals in making decisions that affect patients' care and treatment. The key principles include, these are key: autonomy. So the last presenter, group 2, you have a part of your presentation that talks about patients' autonomy and patients' rights. So I'm going to ask you, the presenter for group 2, what is patients' autonomy? What is autonomy? Hello? Who presented for group 2? Who presented for group 2?
Hello, sir. Yeah, so patient's autonomy is actually the right of a patient to make an informed decision about their own care, like to be able to decide about their care.
I like that. To make an informed decision. I like that. So please, what is informed decision? Olajumoke, what is informed decision?
Decision actually is the decision made by a patient in respect to the information provided by the healthcare professional about their health.
Awesome. You did some research. I am impressed. Okay, so our medical students, how many of them are here? Is my friend from Azare, is he still here? Bala? Has he gone out? Bala has disappeared. Okay. Omozi?
Omozusi, sir. Yes, sir.
Omozusi.
Yes, sir.
You know I gave you a name.
Yes, Chiamaka.
So if I call Chiamaka, I know I'm referring to you.
Okay, sir.
Good. So what is patient autonomy?
Okay, patient autonomy simply means that the patient has the right, or is the only one allowed to make decisions regarding how their healthcare status is handled.
Awesome. Chidera is also a medical student, right? Hello, Chidera. My class is usually interactive.
Yes, sir.
So,
Yes, sir.
good. Chidera, can you differentiate what is paternalism? Have you heard that word before?
Sir?
What is paternalism?
Paternality.
Paternalism, paternalism. Have you heard? Okay, you are 100 level.
No, sir, I'm in 400 level.
400, okay. What is paternalism? You will see how the dots connect.
Paternalism.
What is paternalism? Paternalism, paternalistic.
Oh,
But my question is, what is paternalism? Almost you see, this question also goes to you. What is paternalism? My friend from Azari has disappeared.
sir, sorry, I
No,
don't have
Fina,
an idea.
the question is not for you, but you see the problem. What
Okay,
you are
sir.
giving me is, Fina, the answer you are giving me is a dictionary meaning of paternalism. But Chamaka, can we hear you?
Yes, sir. Paternalism, I think, counters what patient autonomy means. So instead of giving the patient the sole right to make decisions, informed decisions regarding their health, I think someone else makes the decisions for them.
Now, patient's autonomy is the right of a patient to decide what shall be done to his body. To decide what shall be done to his body and by who.
The
Like
patient alone.
you said?
By the patient alone.
No, I'm saying the right to decide what shall be done to his body and who shall do it.
Okay, okay.
Last night, I stumbled on a post on Facebook. A lady, okay, that post was from Twitter. She tweeted that stuff. Someone now copied it and shared it on Facebook and now insulted the lady. What was the post? The lady posted that when she's going to give birth, she will not allow a male doctor to attend to her. So the young man copied the post and now shared it on Facebook and now said, this is the dumbest post I have seen, or this post can pass as the dumbest post. And I responded, I said, no, there is nothing dumb about that post. The lady has a right to decide who should touch her and who should not. She has a right to select any healthcare professional that should attend to her. And for like 45 minutes to 1 hour, different people were firing from different angles. So somebody said, no, how can? In fact, when labor hits, she will not even know what she's doing. She will not detect, in fact, she will not have the consciousness to know whether it is a male or female doctor. We will discuss this more elaborately when we discuss patients' rights. Now, why did I take us this long? Prior to the concept of autonomy, because this is key. In fact, last night, one nurse wrote, he said, "Oga, stop talking nonsense. The patient's Bill of Rights did not anywhere state that the patient has a right to choose who should attend to him or her." I did not respond because he came from an angle of insult. Assuming he made inquiries to seek knowledge, I would have responded, I would have brought up the principle of autonomy. Now, paternalism is a principle of medical practice where the doctor makes decision for the patient in what he believes is best for the patient. The patient had no contribution whatsoever. The doctor was the alpha and omega. So we are now talking ethics, and we are saying that one of the principles of medical ethics is the principle of autonomy, respecting the patient's rights to make their own decision for their health care. Now, this principle of autonomy did not just fall from the tree. It came from a 1904 case, 1914 case of, I will share the case on the platform after now, Schlendorf against Society of New York Hospital. Schlendorf against Society of New York Hospital. In that case, this is where this principle started from. Lord Cardoso made a statement that has become a locus classicus. You cannot discuss patient's autonomy without making the statement and without quoting what I'm going to say. He said, every human being of adult years and sound mind has a right to determine what shall be done with his own body, and who performs an operation, and a surgeon who performs an operation without his patient's consent commits an assault for which he is liable in damages. So, back to yesterday's post on Facebook. A patient surgeon who commits, a doctor who performs a surgery. So, where a male doctor goes to attend to a female patient without her consent, he's liable. The next principle is the principle of beneficence, acting in the best interest of the patient and promoting the patient's well-being. So while the patient has autonomy, when the patient gives you authority to operate, or consent to operate, or permission to operate, or approval to operate, you do whatever you are doing treatment-wise in the best interest of the patient. You do not say, this is what I suggested, you didn't do it. So because you are not taking my own decision as your doctor, I am going to treat you anyhow. It goes contrary to the principle of beneficence. Next is the principle of non-malfeasance. Do no harm. You do not set out to do your patient harm. You do not set out. If you do that, we call it medical malpractice, because you willfully caused harm to the patient. In whatever capacity, whatever form of harm, we will still deal with that more extensively. Then, principle of justice, ensuring equitable distribution of healthcare resources. Example, during COVID, or not just that, people go to hospital, there are no beds or there are limited beds, and you look at this person looks like somebody that came from a rich home. So even though this other person who does not look too rich has a more serious case that requires to be given that bed space, you rather give the bed space to the person who you feel or you perceive to be rich. Maybe during COVID, you know, we had issue with oxygen, and you just see people, and ventilators, you just see people trying to attend to the rich man who might not at that moment even need ventilator, and ignoring the poor person who is dying in urgent need of ventilator. Principle of justice is being violated, because there should be equitable sharing, there should be fairness in distribution of healthcare resources. We have confidentiality, respect for privacy of patients' information. So note, medical ethics often requires healthcare professionals to balance these principles. Now, when in decision making that impacts patient care, when these ethical issues come up, they don't come shouting. I am ethical challenge. I am ethical challenge of patient's autonomy. No, They don't come shouting, I am ethical challenge of a principle of non-malfeasance. I am ethical challenge of principle of justice. No. So as a healthcare professional, you have to imbibe these principles and respect them. We're going to move faster now. What are basically ethical challenges? Conflict between traditional and modern medicine. You will see people who something will happen. As a healthcare professional, you know that orthodox medicine can handle this. But at the same time, you are in the village and they are telling you that there is one old man in the other community. And when they take this person to that old man, he will get well. What do you do? Or even where you are treating a patient already in the hospital and the patient is saying, discharge me, I want to go and try herbal medicine. They have told me that there is this agbo, there is this concussion, there is this ointment. That is ethical challenge. If you are discharging that patient, on what ground are you discharging? Are you discharging because the patient wants to go and use a traditional medicine? Are you discharging because your orthodox medicine can no longer assist, or you are discharging the patient on the ground of refusal to continue treatment? Two, ethical issues surrounding the use of traditional healers and potential risk to patients. What is the risk implication? Then issue around informed consent. Now, for a patient has a right to information. That information, there are 5 ingredients that the information must contain for the patient to decide, and we say his consent was informed. 1, information as to the nature of the ailment. 2, information as to the cost implication. Probably not. When these 5 components are complete,
Hello, sir. I don't think we can hear you. Or is it just from my end? Your network is breaking, sir.
we say that the patient does any other person have such complaint?
Okay, no, I think we can hear. I think it's better now.
Okay, sorry about that. Sorry, Dennis. So when those 5 ingredients are complete, we now say the patient can give informed consent. Why is it informed? Because the patient has gotten this information all together. None is missing. Because the patient is going to weigh the cost implication. What can his pockets afford? Is going to weigh the probable side effect. If he undergoes this surgery, it is likely that he will go deaf on his left ear or right ear or both ears, and the chances are 50-50 or 70-30 or 60-40. The patient has a right to know. It is when this thing has been dropped on the table. The patients can even be given days to go home and think about it, then decide and come back. So you don't reel out these 5 informations and say, hey, so which one are you taking so that we can make progress? No. Now, it is an ethical issue because sometimes the patients might go home and not come back again. And the healthcare professional runs the risk of losing that money. So you now see healthcare professionals trying to manipulate the patient to making decisions, hasty decisions. 1, we heard some side effects they believe will scare the patients. Some we give treatment options that is most expensive, whereas there are other options that are less expensive so that they can make more money. I have a friend whose brother worked in a hospital, a private hospital, And when the guy was working there, some patients will come, he will examine them and see no need of keeping them in the hospital. He will discharge them for them to go home. You just write medication. One day the medical director say, this is not how well. If they come here, give them bed. It is while they are lying down on that bed, it's from there that your money will come out. Now, that is a breach of medical ethics. It's a challenge. That borders on the next one, corruption. So on issue of consent, ensuring patients understand the risk and benefits of treatment. Issues in rural area where education and literacy levels may be low. So some people will not even give, some patients in rural area do not even know that they have right at all. Talk more of rights to informed consent. They don't even know what informed consent is. Lack of respect for patients' autonomy. Doctors make decisions for patients in rural areas or even within the city because they do not know. Then, issue of euthanasia against patients' rights to decline or refuse medical treatment. Euthanasia is a crime. Euthanasia is basically assisted deaths, deliberately killing somebody. So for us here in Nigeria, euthanasia can be tantamount to murder. Why? Because it was premeditated. But the patient has a right to refuse treatment. So we have direct euthanasia and passive euthanasia. So where a patient is on life support, direct is active, where you just go to the life support, just pull the socket or off the switch, and the patient dies. Passive euthanasia will mean the medications that will be effective in treating or ameliorating the condition of the patient, you are withdrawing it gradually, knowing that at the end of the day, the patient will die. So it is an ethical issue. The patient might be in so much pain and be saying, why don't you people allow me to go and rest? Just let me go, let me go, let me go. You too, as a healthcare professional, say, like, this woman has really suffered. Oh, Mama, Kai, I'm teaching the children, they are spending so much money. It is an ethical decision. The children might even want to come and bribe to say, okay, let her go. Just don't worry, you've tried for us, but you see how this woman can live here so that we have peace. We have so and so for you. It's an ethical decision. Abortion versus the need to save the life of a mother. Abortion is a crime. Where you have ectopic pregnancy, you will have need to save the life of a mother. But where there is no apparent threat to the life of a mother, it becomes an ethical decision. We need to make money. Then there is really no danger here. The lady just wants to have an abortion. It's an ethical decision. Then I talked about corruption and fraud, bribery, and clinics affecting patients' care and all that, distribution of resources, lack of transparency, medical billing. One of the rights a patient has is a right to open and transparent billing. I won't dwell much on this. We'll discuss it when we talk about patients' rights. Then that's where you will see different types of wayo and bribery, coding and bonding and unbundling of bills and all that. We see that when we deal with patients' rights. Let's run. Okay, regulation in medical practice in Nigeria. What is regulation? Regulation in healthcare refers to the establishment and enforcement of rules or guidelines designed to ensure patient safety, one, and high quality care. Why do we have regulation? So that we have patient safety and we also ensure quality care. So, what are the key, who are the key bodies, regulatory bodies and laws? One, Federal Ministry of Health and Social Welfare. Now, this is the federal government's agency that oversees healthcare administration in Nigeria. Yes, at the federal level, it trickles down to state where we have the state equivalent commissioners for health and all that. Now you need to know that National Council on Health will comprise of different commissioners of health from different states. So whatever the federal does has a way of trickling down to the states. Then, Standard Organization of Nigeria, it ensures compliance with quality of medical equipment imported into Nigeria. So it regulates medical practice in a way, because if they begin to allow substandard equipment to come in, we will not have the desired outcome from those equipments. It will affect the outcome. Who will be affected ultimately? The patients. The National Health Facility Regulatory Agency. Now, this is a new agency that was commissioned by the Minister of Health last year, I think around August, September, between August and October last year, the end of those months, to go about and ensure that facilities, medical or healthcare facilities, are up to standard. But as I speak with you, there is a challenge with this. Different medical disciplines are fighting the establishment of this regulatory agency, National Health Facility Regulatory Agency. There's a fight for this not to stand, and people have different interests, people have different opinions around it. Medical and Dental Council of Nigeria, this is the primary body responsible for regulating medical practice, ensuring competence, and issuing licenses. Now, note, Medical and Dental Council does not regulate hospitals. They regulate doctors. They regulate medical practice. You can report a doctor to them where the doctor misbehaves, either by way of patient's rights violation, medical malpractice, or medical negligence. So that is the MDCN. Code of Medical Ethics 2008 provides ethical and professional code of conduct for doctors to practice medicine in Nigeria. So on your day of induction, they will give you a copy of your code of medical ethics. Unfortunately, okay, I won't go into that. It's not for this class. Nigerian Data Protection Act. Data collection generally, usage and storage of data in Nigeria. So it includes patients' data. Next slide. Key regulatory bodies and laws continue. Nursing and Midwifery Council of Nigeria, they regulate primarily nursing practice, ensuring compliance, issuance of license, and also discipline of erring members, that's nurses. Then they also have their code of conduct, professional conduct for nurses. Then Pharmaceutical Council of Nigeria, they regulate pharmacists. Medical Laboratory Science Council, they regulate laboratory scientists. Then we've talked about NAFDAC, ensuring standardization in terms of our food, drug, and related products. Then Medical and Dental Practitioners Act, establish, you can see the difference. What we have mentioned are bodies. Now we are talking about the laws. The Medical and Dental Practitioners Act established the practice of medicine in Nigeria. So you also have the Nursing and Midwifery Act. I didn't put it here. You also have the Pharmacy Act, but we talked about Pharmacy Council of Nigeria. Then the National Health Insurance Authority Act. I saw you people putting a National Health Insurance Scheme. It has been phased out, repealed. What we have now in force is National Health Insurance Authority Act 2022. Of course, it regulates healthcare coverage and healthcare expenditure services. Most of healthcare payments in Nigeria is done out of pockets. So the essence of bringing national health insurance is to see a way of subsidizing healthcare expenditure. The former act did not capture people outside the formal sector, people who are not civil servants. But with the coming of the new act, those number of people, those persons have also been captured. Then, of course, the National Health Act 2014. This is the Bible of medical and healthcare practice in Nigeria. The National Health Act 2014 provides legal framework for healthcare delivery in Nigeria, covering issues like patients' rights, health funding, regulation of health facilities, and all that. So that's about 64 chapters. Okay, 64 sessions. Session 64 is actually the interpretation and definition session. So read it up. If you're playing in this field, you must have these laws I've mentioned here at the tip of your finger. Download them. If you can't buy, download. Make sure the one you are downloading is not the proposal or the proposed act bill. The act, the gazetted act, download it, print it, and have the hard copy. Read it, familiarize yourself with it. That's how you grow. Regulatory challenges. What challenges do we have with regulation? Limited enforcement of regulation in rural areas, corruption and inadequate infrastructure, impacting regulation, inadequate manpower to monitor the entire nation. This is FCT. Sometime last year, a quack doctor somewhere in Plateau State harvested a woman's one of her kidney, and it was all over the news. We are saying inadequate manpower. How many doctors do we have in Nigeria? How many? They are leaving the nation in droves. So does NMA have the capacity, the manpower capacity to put eye everywhere in Nigeria? Even if they have the human resources, do they have the financial muscle to undertake that supervision or monitoring? Then that's the next, inadequate financial resources to cover the entire nation for regulation. Then interdisciplinary rivalry among healthcare practitioners. I just mentioned the opposition that the National Healthcare Facility Regulatory Agency is facing from Pharmaceutical Society of Nigeria, from different agents, different bodies. We were to say, no. And if you check, what are we talking about? Okay, some groups say no, we already have a state equivalent, so there is no need to have one at the national, because we at the state are the ones, every healthcare facility is located at least in a state and under a local government. So the state regulatory agency should now go and know how to. What is the problem we having one at the federal level? So interdisciplinary rivalry among healthcare professionals. Then we go to compliance. Compliance refers to adherence to ethical, legal, and regulatory standards in medical practice. What are the key areas of compliance? Patients' rights, ensuring patients' confidentiality and informed consent. Not just that, but respecting patients' rights as a whole. Anything that is the right of a patient, just respect it. Healthcare facility standards, compliance with safety standards and operational protocols within healthcare facility. So, what my medical students, what's the doctor ratio? What's the nurse patient ratio? The WHO doctor patient ratio is what? Hello? Almost you see. Okay, someone is saying hi. Oluwadamilola, I feel you. Okay, what's the doctor healthcare professional patient ratio? I'm looking for my medical students. So Chidera, Is she still here? Chidera, what's the doctor-patient ratio? Chiamaka, what's the doctor-patient ratio? We are talking about compliance here. And we're saying healthcare facility standards, compliance with safety standards and operational protocols. We are
Hello,
having,
sir.
yes.
Sorry, sir, I couldn't hear. Your line was breaking.
I said, what is the doctor-patient ratio?
Oh, okay. Hello, sir.
Okay,
Can you hear
I
me?
think
The
1:1.
WHO standard is what?
One doctor to 9,000. I think 9,000 or 10,000 patients.
Are you sure?
1,000. I'd have to confirm that.
Are
Or
you
one doctor to
sure?
600.
One
Wow.
doctor to 600 patients.
Yes,
But
yes.
what we are having is one doctor to 9,000.
9,000.
One doctor to 10,000. Are we complying with healthcare standard? Medical equipment standard and maintenance compliance. Firstly, is to have imported quality and standard healthcare equipment. On one hand, the Standard Organization of Nigeria takes care of that. Next, when we have imported, let's assume we have imported a quality one. Maintenance by the hospital, routine maintenance, routine maintenance, routine maintenance. So if the machine is supposed to go for routine maintenance quarterly, every three months, you might see a situation, maybe they work. Is it giving problem? No, sir. But we need to maintain it. Is it giving problem? It don't spoil? No, sir. Okay, let's keep using it. Let's keep managing it. Let's keep managing it. Okay, we will do it in the next 3 months. Okay, 6 months now, it don't spoil. No, sir. It's still working, but we need to. This is what the manual says. Has it spoiled? No, sir. Keep managing until one day the machine will collapse. So if you are supposed to have 4 routine maintenance in a year and you have 2, you have not complied. We're talking compliance. Then medical billing and coding. We'll discuss this more extensively when we talk about healthcare fraud. We have a topic on that, healthcare fraud. That's when we'll discuss this. But I said earlier that one of the rights of a patient is right to open billing, transparent billing. You now have a situation where a healthcare facilities bill patients for services not rendered. Sometimes they bill patients twice under different headings, under different names. They will just put the same thing, one thing that has been done, they will divide it into 3 and allot different sums there, and the patient pays. So you see that they are not complying. We will soon round up, don't worry. Compliance challenges. Lack of widespread education on compliance within healthcare institutions. That is one challenge. Capacity building, frequent training and retraining along these lines. Corruption and fraudulent activities in healthcare billing. We will deal with it when we look at healthcare fraud. Limited resources for effective monitoring and enforcement. So these are challenges we face with compliance. How do we ensure compliance in healthcare? One is education and training, continuous education and certification for medical professionals, training on medical ethics, legal requirements, and patients' rights. That's under education. We look at strengthening regulatory bodies, empowering institutions like the Medical and Dental Council to improve oversight and enforcement. We look at enhancing public trust in regulatory bodies. We look at adequate funding of regulatory bodies. Because everything we finish speaking this grammar, it boils down to money, funding. So there are different levels of corruption when it comes to funding. There are times when there is gross underfunding. There are times when there is misappropriation of funding. There are times when there is mismanagement of funding. So there are just different categories of corruption around funding. Then improving infrastructure, investing in healthcare infrastructure to ensure adherence to regulatory standards. Okay, if you check the Disability Act, one of the requirements in the Disability Act is that public buildings, including hospitals, should be built in such a way that they are accessible to persons with disability. So you have ramps here and there within the hospital. If you go, just something as simple as that, we're talking about investing in healthcare infrastructure. If the hospital is built in such a way that a person with disability cannot access it, you are already having a compliance issue because you are not complying with the dictates of the Disability Act, Persons with Disability Act. Addressing resource gaps in rural areas and underserved areas. So these are a few challenges we have with compliance and how to improve. Thank you very much. We have come to the end of today's lecture. If there are questions, fire on. We just have less than 10 minutes, already 3 minutes to 6. So I'll just give, within these 3 minutes, ask your questions. If there are other questions, you put them on the platform. Like I said, I'm on the platform. My class is usually active. Even after the lecture continues. So let's get interactive there. But ask your question.
All right, thank you very much, sir, for that very insightful session from your end. Damilola, you have a question. Please, you can go ahead, unmute yourself and ask your question.
Hello, good evening. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your insights and your efforts. My question is thus, in terms of enforcement of rights, I think one thing I do have concerns towards is evidence.
Sorry, who is speaking?
Oh, okay. This is Oluwa Damlela speaking. Pardon me. Right. So my question is, in terms of enforcement of patients' rights, you have a client that comes to you, it's typically a situation of their ward against that of the hospital, and the hospital has somewhat of an advantage because they hold all the records, they hold all the evidence in the manner of speaking, and sometimes they have the health terms to back up their stance, even though what they have done is ethically incorrect. My question is how, in terms of evidence and burden of proof, how do we enforce these rights? What are the key things that we should have?
You are jumping the gun. We have a topic on patients' rights, legal remedies, and evidence gathering. That your question will come up under that topic because it is broad, and I'm going to give practical answers, not theoretical, because theoretical may not work, but it will sound good and nice, but it will not work. So I'm going to give practical answer because, well, let me know. Let's just note that your question, put it somewhere. When we are dealing with patients' rights, legal remedies, and evidence gathering, please bring this question up so that it will be rightly situated in the context.
Oh, okay. Thank you. My second question is thus, looking at it from the doctor's point of view, these regulators and all these things, sometimes, because you listed quite a number of regulators that are opposed, sometimes they shuffle their feet in a manner of speaking. I mean, how do we get these regulators, staff? Because sometimes you go to, for instance, say what's it called? I'm trying to recall the name now. Yes, of the federal ministry, ministry workers, part of, what's going, okay, I'm still, Sorry, I think I didn't know my mic had gone off. Yes, I said what my question was the federal ministry, civil servants and everything. Sometimes they may take a while to actually treat these cases if you do bring it to them in a manner of speaking. Is there anything we can do?
Firstly, collectively as a people, one is sincerity of purpose. Do you understand? Sincerity of purpose. This thing called corruption has eaten so deep into the fabric of Nigerians that it manifests in different ways. While I do not support corruption, particularly in civil service or in any other place, we must first of all look at the enablers of corruption and deal with it. I have maintained this position. Somebody is working and you are owing the person 2 months, 3 months, 4 months salary. I'm talking about states now. 5 months salary. Some local government workers. And you expect this person to come to work on time. You expect this person to be diligent in his work. You expect this person to give you his best. And you also expect this person not to be corrupt. You are asking for the impossible. That's the fact. Because that man, that woman has dependents at home. He has house rent to pay. He has school fees to pay. He has feeding. He has grandparents and extended family to reach out to. If you have not paid, even if his salary is 5 naira, 10 naira, 50,000, pay it as at when due. That way, you are dealing with the enabler of corruption. There will be no justification for that person to want to delay task so that he will be motivated with money before he can do the job. Do you get my answer? I think last week Friday I was in court. A young man of less than 30 years was brought to court. He stole an air conditioner from his company where he was working and a few other items. Those items were recovered from him. In fact, while I was sitting, the police prosecutor, a lawyer, a female lawyer, was sitting next to me. So part of the charge, the reason the guy gave for stealing those items because the company was owing him salary. He has a newborn baby. And I asked the police prosecutor, Madam, why did you charge this man? When you have recovered the items, did you also investigate why the company is owing him salary? I am not justifying his act of stealing, but I am saying that enablers of corruption should be dealt with. If that man was paid his salary, I don't know how much his salary is, I don't know for how long he has been owed by the company. The company representative was there. They never at any point denied that it's not true. They were not owing him salary. Do you get that? So the only way to fight corruption, because it has become endemic, firstly, before you talk punishment, deal with the enablers of corruption, the ones that even the government puts in place, such as delaying salary of workers. Once you have dealt with the enablers of corruption, look at our pension scheme. Somebody has worked for 35 years, and the little money, the little gratuity that is due him upon retirement, before he begins to get his pension, it takes eternity for him to get it. This money you are not dashing him. These are monies you deducted from his salary, saying when you retire, we give you. So if we deal with, because why do people in civil service do all manner to amass wealth unduly and unjustly? They have seen the people who went ahead of them. The director retired. 2-3 months later, he starts coming back to the office to beg for contracts. 6 months, 1 year, 2 years down the line, he's yet to receive his pension. At that point, he becomes dependent on people, well wishers, just giving alms. He has turned to a beggar. So the people at the seats now will say, Kai, this thing that happened to this guy will never happen to me. Any opportunity I see, I must secure my future. Let us deal with the enablers of corruption first, before we talk about punishment and fighting. So having said that, that does not in any way justify corruption. So any civil servant whom you see to have been delaying in pushing the file or doing what is right or what is supposed to be, you take it up. But the challenge is, if we take it up again, we are also afraid of consequences, because these people are like a syndicate. If you take even the man you are going to complain to, we say, okay, I will do something about it, and it ends there. So it seems like it is a vicious cycle that one way back to square one. To assume that nothing will come out of it. Why do we even need to take it up? I think I've said enough on that. Mr. Dennis, there are a few questions written. Can you read them out, please?
All right, sir. I will do that.
Damilola, are you satisfied with my answer, please?
Yes, yes. Thank you. Thank you. That's kind. Thank you.
Okay,
right, so the questions here, okay, we'll be taking the questions on the chat box, and then Omo Zusi will be taking our question. So the questions here is, sir, in the terms of patients' rights, why are we yet to have more cases in courts that deals with the breach of patients' rights? And the second one is, I am here to read through the rights of patients, but I've listened to you speaking about the lackadaisical attitude of the medical professionals, especially when the rich and poor are in the hospital in the need of medical attention. How can this attitude be curbed?
Okay. The attitude can be curbed with knowledge. You see, knowledge is a powerful thing. I am a Christian. The Bible says that through knowledge shall the righteous be delivered. You see, a lot of things we call miracle. A lot of things we call deliverance. All they need is knowledge, knowledge, knowledge. You shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. Knowledge. He didn't say you shall pray for the truth. Knowledge is powerful. And that is why those who have some knowledge, or those who oppress us, so to speak, thrive on the ignorance of the oppressed. The ignorance of the oppressed in what way? That the oppressed do not know how powerful they are. They don't know how powerful they are, because they have been weakened, their mind has been so bent and their spirits dampened that they even doubt. If you tell them you can, say, nah, if I feed you this thing where they talk, I know if they hear. So the only way to curb that is, one, aggressive patients' rights awareness and sensitization campaign on all platforms. I have always said it. During election, you begin to hear jingles about do not buy votes, do not go into electoral violence, do not do this, do not do this, one man, one vote, and all that. Now we're entering the dry season. You will begin to hear jingles about bush burning. Soon you will begin to hear jingles about against vandalization of government properties and all that. Have you heard jingles about the rights of patients in your local dialects? I've said it repeatedly. The National Orientation Agency, one of their responsibility Orientation, give us orientation as Nigerians. It should be the way, the moment a law is passed, that law, a jingle sensitizing Nigerians about that law and its implication should be all over the place. In English, in Igbo, in Hausa, in Yoruba, at least the 3 major languages. Then at the state level, the states should also do their own. With that sensitization and an awakened patient, because that's the word I used last night, the scenario I told you people about. When the guy said, this is the pump statement, I said there's nothing dumb about this statement. This lady is an awoken patient. She knows her rights. She knows what she wants. So one of the fastest ways to curb patients' rights abuse, one is the patient to know firstly what the rights are. You can't know that your right is abused if you don't know what the right is. 2 is to know the legal redress or redress mechanisms, not just legal, redress mechanisms available. 3, the appropriate channel of complaining. Some people complain to the wrong place and they come out and say nothing happened. Some don't complain at all. So it is knowledge, just sensitization. Once the doctor knows that this patient knows his rights, the doctor will couple. Simple as that. Also, know that doctors or healthcare professionals also have rights. So there is need to always draw this balance. It's not just the patient that has rights. The patient has rights and obligation. The healthcare provider has rights and obligation. So we must at all times draw that balance. Next question. I think the 2 questions are in one, right?
Yes, sir.
Read the first question.
Okay, just a moment, sir. So the first question is in terms of patients' rights, why are we yet to have more cases in courts that deals with the breach of patients' rights?
Well, it's still the same thing. Redress mechanism. There are 3. There is administrative redress, there is professional redress, there is legal redress. Which one are you following? Which one do you know? There have been cases. Firstly, let us understand patients' rights education or patients' rights advocacy is relatively new in our climate. Number 1. Prior to the coming into existence of National Health Act 2014, that's just 10 years ago. 2014, we're in 2025, 11 years now. By December this year, the National Health Act will be 11 years old. So that is one, the law is relatively new. 2, there is no deliberate effort by the government to sensitize Nigerians around this law. So all that has happened so far are efforts of civil society organizations. And yours sincerely is privileged to have contributed to that movement in terms of patients' rights, awareness, creation, and sensitization. Between 2018, May, I think 27th May or 25th, 27th or 29th May 2018, I can't remember the exact date. So in 3rd of January 2020, I was on Human Rights Radio. There's a TV radio station here in Abuja. I was on Human Rights Radio every Friday discussing patients' rights. I've been on different television stations discussing patients' rights. I've been on different other radio platforms discussing patients' rights. My social media, my Facebook, discuss patients' rights. I do free trainings on patients' rights. 2020, during COVID, I was running PrEP, Patients' Rights Education Project, on Twitter every Sunday. So I have contributed my quota and I'm still contributing towards patients' rights education and sensitization. Now, cases are beginning to come up. Cases, by the time we do patients' rights, you will discover that Nigerians are beginning to test the law. Nigerians are beginning to test the law. However, you must note that all our patients' rights are not encapsulated in one document. The way we have maybe Chapter 4 of the Constitution, Fundamental Human Rights. So you cannot say this is patients' right. In fact, Omozusi was in a conference. That's where I met her. February 20th February, AFBA, African Bar Association, Medical Law Committee, International Annual Conference. Now, I made a submission at that conference, and I said that for us to begin to have patients' rights enforcement, there is need for us to, first of all, have our patients' rights collated in a single document. For now, we have some aspect of patients' rights in the Constitution. You can glean from Chapter 4. You have some in the National Health Act. You have some in the Compulsory Treatment for Victims of Gunshot Act. You have some in the HIV and AIDS Anti-Discrimination Act. You have different healthcare legislations here and there. So we do not have a single document called patients' rights. So I said the first port of call is to have a document called Patients' Rights Act. So if we have that legislative intervention by way of enactment, Patients' Rights Act, then we now move to step 2, Patients' Rights Enforcement Procedure. We have the Fundamental Human Rights Enforcement Procedure. We have the Child Rights Act, and we have the Child Rights Act Enforcement Procedure. So if we first have that piece of documents, patients' rights, that we define what patients' rights is, that we define, stipulate the different acts that constitute violation of, in fact, stipulate what patients' rights are, then the different acts that constitute violation of patients' rights. The Patients' Bill of Rights 2018 is not a binding law. It does not have the force of law. It is not enforceable. Yes, there are some provisions there that are also contained in the National Health Act. So those are the first 2 major steps to be taken. Legislative intervention by way of enacting Patients' Rights Act or Patients' Rights Charter or Patients' Rights, whatever we want to call it, that has the force of law, that one can go to court and cite according to section this. We already have a few of them contained in the National Health Act, no doubt. Section 20 of the National Health Act makes a refusal to treat a patient in an emergency situation an offense. So you can sue because they denied you treatment in an emergency situation. In fact, a hospital found liable of that phase can pay a fine of 100,000 naira. A healthcare professional found liable can go to prison for a jail term not exceeding 6 months. Just imagine that the doctor was sent to prison for 2 weeks, and they say, what did he do? He said, they say he refused to treat patients in emergency situation. So we deal with this more when we get to patients' rights. We are running out of time. So, Omosusi, ask your question.
Okay, sir. Earlier you mentioned how euthanasia is a crime in Nigeria, and then you divided them into the 2 different types. You said the active euthanasia and the passive euthanasia. So, in a situation where a patient has a DNR, which is a do not resuscitate, I think, law documents backing their health issue, and I think it means that you don't resuscitate the patient if their heart stops or their breathing stops. Now, some people say that this
Sorry,
is
I didn't get your question. Take the question again.
Okay, so I said, sorry, can you hear me?
Yes.
I said earlier, you talked about euthanasia and how it's a crime in Nigeria, and then you divided it into the 2 different types. You said there is active and passive. So I was talking about DNR, that's do not resuscitate. There are certain patients that have a DNR, which means that you don't resuscitate them if their heart stops or if they are no longer breathing. Yes. So some people say it's a form of passive euthanasia. In a country like Nigeria, is a DNR something that is actually in existence? Like, does it work? Does it exist in Nigeria? And if a doctor actually honors the patient's wishes and does not resuscitate, since it's a form of passive euthanasia, which is a crime in Nigeria, does that mean the doctor has committed a crime?
The doctor has not committed any crime. You see, that's why we say it is an ethical issue. It's an ethical dilemma. We must, first of all, arm yourself with the rights of the patients. One of the rights of a patient is the right to decline treatment. That the patient is in the hospital and you are saying, let me administer this injection to you, and the patient says, no, I don't want it. But there are conditions precedent to that happening. One is that the patient must be an adult. Two is that the patient must be of sound mind. Three is that the patient must have been told the far-reaching implication of his action, including losing his life, and the patient well understood it and goes ahead. We talked about autonomy. The principle of autonomy says that the patient is the alpha and omega of his body. He should determine what should be done to his body, who should touch his body, how his body should be touched. So once you have established this, the next you do is you get the patient to sign that he was discharged against medical advice. As a healthcare professional, you have discharged your duty by saying, I need to give you this medication. If you refuse to take this medication, these are the consequences. And the patient understood. The patient is of sound mind. The patient is an adult. Next thing, let the patient sign that he was discharged against medical advice, and that will be all. Now, if the patient dies, that's the consequence of his refusal to take treatment. The doctor has no business in that. So nobody, provided the doctor can prove what I have said, and that is why documentation is important. That is why documentation is extremely important. Once the doctor establishes that he has taken this step, the doctor will be exculpated. So it is not every time anything goes on. We will discuss that when we are doing patients' rights. We will delve a little into medical negligence and medical malpractice. It is not every time that things go wrong that we say the doctor is wrong. No, it's not always. We talked about compliance today. We talked about regulation. The medical profession is a profession that follows protocols. It is structured. There is science over the years has developed protocols of treatments. What the Medical and Dental Council will be after, did you follow the right steps? Did you do this? Did you do this? Did you do this? Did you do this? Once the doctor has done what he is supposed to do, even if he took the patient to America and they will do the same thing, the doctor will be exonerated. So your question as to euthanasia, it is an aftermath, it's a consequence. The patient might decide to die. If the patient is lucid, the patient knows that this is the consequence, death. Then for those who carry advanced instruction, you obey their instruction. There is a sect that do not receive blood transfusion. They are within their rights under patient's autonomy to decide what should be done to their body, including transfusing them. If they say they don't want, document it. So if you see someone carrying do not resuscitate card, you don't resuscitate. But because here we've not gotten to that level, that's part of why we are doing what we are doing. In the next, this is 2025, by 2030, it will no longer be like this. We may not have gotten to the US, their standard. We may not have gotten to UK standard, but we would have made significant progress. Why? You are here now. You are hearing this. We have two practicing lawyers here. They are hearing it. We have some law students. They are hearing it. They will also develop their practice along this, and we have more disciples to preach this gospel. Thank you. Any other question, please? Mr. Dennis, any other question?
No questions so far, sir.
Okay, so gentlemen, we have to end it here from my end. If there are more questions, put it on the platform. It's usually an interesting class. Put it on the platform. The conversation continues there. Thank you very much. See you on Sunday. Group 1, Group 2, do your assignments. Let it get to me latest by Friday, not Saturday. Get your designated presenters. Let them go through their presentation. Have 2 people. Presenter 1, presenter 2. You can even do more presentation amongst yourself and make corrections where necessary. You can do more presentation amongst yourself. It is in participating that you learn. It is not by sitting there and listening to me. What's her name? Joke? I think that's the name. I asked a question, 2 questions. She gave me what I wanted. I was convinced that this one participated in the work. That's the only way to learn. We learn by doing. So please, if there's an assignment as you're doing your group work, endeavor to be part of the research team. Endeavor to present. Of course, all of you you can't run away from presentation. Don't just bother. The arrangement that I have made, all of you must have opportunity to present at least one before the end of your training. Thank you. Good night. See you on Sunday.
All right. So before we go, sorry, just before we
our
go.
group photograph.
Yes, I would like for us to take a picture. Right. So please, if your video is, if you can turn on your video, please let's do that in 1 minute.
Turn on your video. Let me. Yes. I'm losing light here.
Thank you so much, sir.
Okay.
You're
welcome, Dennis.
All right. Do we have more mentees on the call? Thank you so much, Mr. Mobola.
Kindly turn on your videos. We usually take pictures for each class. Then you are required on just on your social media platform. I think it's usually LinkedIn or Twitter.
LinkedIn, sir.
Okay. That is on transit. Why are you people not turning on your videos? Okay.
All right. Thank you so much, Omozunzi.
Okay. Okay, Dennis, I think what we'll be doing, we'll be taking this picture at the beginning of the class.
Yes, sir.
Do you understand? Yes.
Yes, sir.
When the class is full, as soon as we start, everybody will take the picture, then we proceed.
All right. Thank you so much, sir, and thank you to everyone. Please do enjoy the rest of your evening. The tags for this week will be posted to the group before the end of today, so that we can start working on it by Friday. Please, we would like to receive your submissions early on so that it will be sent to Mr. Ebenezer so that he can go through and prepare for the session on Sunday. Remember, our session is Sundays, 4 p.m., right? For the new students, I'll be sending the welcome message and just a brief introduction to the program so that you can be updated on some of what we do during the week ahead of each sessions. So thank you once again, and do enjoy the rest of your evening.
Shamaka, why is Emmanuel not here? I must say.
So I don't know why. I noticed that he wasn't here as well, but I'll check on him and ask him what happened.
It's okay. It's okay. Okay. Goodbye, everyone. See ya on Sunday. Thank you.
Goodbye, sir.